Hello, my name is Haley Deardahl. I am 22 years old and I was one of the leaders this time around for the IPHC team, which is Introduction to Primary Healthcare School. I was a student last year in the IPHC and had my whole outreach on the ship, and this year I got the wonderful opportunity of coming back and leading the ship portion. And the story that comes to mind today when I'm asked about what was one of the most memorable moments on outreach would be when I was in clinic one day, and it was a village called Rabba Rabba, and I had come into the consultation room where the doctors were just to ask a question to one of our clinic leaders about, I don't even remember actually, but I'd come in just to ask a question, and I didn't want to interrupt because there was a case happening, and it was a father who was carrying his 3-year-old daughter, and she was just sobbing, and when you looked at her, her skin was absolutely covered in infectious sores, and it was really far gone, and she was just miserable and crying, and I just stopped dead in my tracks as I was just watching this happen. And just a father comforting his daughter is hard to watch when she was so miserable, and you could tell that he wanted to do something for her but was so helpless. And to hear our doctor say that there was nothing that we could do for it, and that there wasn't some magical cream that would make this all go away, or any medication or ointment, and to watch his body language just change as he instantly became distant, and his emotions they turned off, and I broke. I can usually hold it together in clinic very, very well, calm, cool, and collected, but I just started sobbing. I was broken and completely upset by the fact that there was nothing that we could do for him. I hated that that was what he was told by us, and I hated that there was nothing that we could do. I wasn't mad at God, but I felt so helpless that there was nothing that we could give him, nothing that we could offer him, and if the only thing that we tell him is leaving him not feeling like there's hope, I couldn't stand for it. And there's just such a sense of urgency that I know I need to do something. There's nothing I can do, but I have to do something, and I just knew. And so he was not sent away, but it was he was done seeing the doctor, and had gone outside of the clinic and was just slumped up against the building, sitting there, and his daughter was crying, and he looked so small, not physically, but small inside. And I just sat next to him and introduced myself, and I'd pulled it together at this point, but I was still pretty emotional, and I just said, "Can I pray for you?" And I just started praying for him, and I was sobbing, and to find out that he had carried his daughter for 3 days to get here, and he was telling me that he was a man of God, he was a man of faith, but he had, throughout this entire condition with his daughter, who had been like that since she was born, he was finding so much trouble finding God in it. He's like, if you are good, why is my baby girl sick? I can't do anything as a father to fix her. And he was telling me about this, and we were crying together in the middle of the bush, and it was painful, and it was hard, and I just felt for him. And as I told him, I was praying for him, and I said, with how you carried your daughter here to see us to get help for 3 days, God is carrying you throughout this entire situation. So even if there's not medicine, not cream, not some sort of magical solution to offer you, God is still carrying you through it. And he said to me, "Sister, I told God that this was his last opportunity to show up. And when the doctor told me there's nothing we can do, I felt my heart go to stone. And then just as you're sitting here and you're crying," and he's like, "The reason I'm crying is because I felt that stone heart break open and the Lord's love come in." And he was like, "You've led me back to Christ today." And he said, he then starts affirming me, which is just crazy. And it's just such a beautiful moment. And he said, "I can feel the Lord's love through how your heart breaks for me." And he's like, "I know that God has shown up today because of how you've prayed for me and how I've experienced his love through your obedience." And as if I wasn't already crying, I started crying even more. I was just a puddle of a person, and I got to meet his daughter, his other daughter, and his son, who had walked all the way there with them, and then pray with them. And it was just such a beautiful moment, and I really walked away with that with such a revelation of, even if there's nothing we can do, there's still something we can do, and to never underestimate what it is that God can use us to do in somebody's life, because we never know where they're coming from, and just a little bit of intentional love and just obeying that urgency within you could be a turning point in someone's life.